So let us continue where we left. We have a code, and this code is having returning features. We are collecting the features and looping through it and then typing the type of this feature. But we are facing an issue that instead of 3 features, the application is giving 4 different features. What are the other one? So I see here a datum CSY is here, which is over here, and there is one datum plane, which is over here, and then I see one more datum CSYS, which is not available in the list, and there is one sketch. So it's giving me the sketch type here. Now we need to find is there a problem with the API or is there any other API is available. So in order to do this, we will refer back to the code, and also we'll refer back something called a documentation. This is one important topic that developer need to understand, and next developer to be specific. Um, what exactly is how to read a documentation. So we'll quickly go to Chrome and then or any browser that you like, and then search for NXopen Documentation. It gives you few information. For now, we'll go this to this option, but here you can see this this documentation belongs to 1847. Usually, people work with different versions of NX. So here, if you want to see the NX version, so go here and then about here I'm using 2022 2027, but the documentation belongs to 1847. Most of the documentation will be same, but there may be few more tweaks available. For example, in this new version, there might be a chance they introduced a new option in NX, or they removed few options in NX. So those options will be updated only in that specific documentation. But for general purpose, you can refer this. But if you are working in a project or a customer project, I would not recommend you to use this. Use the specific documentation that belongs to the NX version. So here to read the documentation, again coming back to the point, we have a code, and this code is we are collecting the features. So if I hover over my mouse, it says here the features are returning me a feature collection. So what is a feature collection? What is other way of collecting a converting a feature collection to array? That you can refer to the previous video. Yeah. So here it is coming from a namespace called base part. So then we need to refer, is there something base part has any features, any uh, in documentation available on this. And for the quick note, it also gives you here there is an information. So here it says return the feature collection instance that belongs to this part. So here it is a specific user message to understand what it is, but we will see also how to read the same in the API documentation. Now click on this classes. I usually go to this class index. So this class index will give you all the APIs available. So there might be more than thousands of API available in this documentation. But when you see for the first time, you will be overwhelmed. But I would recommend you not to. It's much more simple than what we see here. So what we are, if you see here, it says the features are coming from a class called base part. So then we need to go to base part. Base part stands for B, and then click here, and then scroll down. Um, here, here if you see there is something called base part. But instead of go to B and then search, usually people used to search for base part. Okay. Sorry, it is base BASE. PART. So here it gives you highlights you, it takes you all the base parts available in the documentation. But if you see here, there will be few more base parts, but it says base part at translation state. This is a different class might be, and here it also gives you more information. But what we are consider what our concern is only on base part, so we'll go here. So here it gives you the class diagram from where it's got inherited and what are the objects got inherited out of it. But for now, don't look into this. So we are going here, and all this the class, the base part class has different information inside it. So it has few structs inside it. It also has enums inside it. It also has methods inside it or member functions here. Each of this member function returns a specific value. So as you see here, as you see here, here it says I have work part. Work part is a part, but features is coming from base part. That's okay. So from inside this feature, there is a method called features, and that should give me all the feature collection. So if I see here, there should be something called something related to features, which is returning me a feature collection. So if I search for here, we'll quickly search in our. So here, if you see here, it says it gives us a feature collection for us, right? And what we are interested here is there are different functions. You can ask for base features. It gives you a base feature collection. What we are concerned is about the feature method. So we'll scroll down and then we'll see there is a method here which says feature collection. So this is what the method is doing. And inside this method there is only get. So there are few information. One is get, other one is set. So if it is a get method or get function, it only returns you information. If you click on here, it will take you the detail information about it. So if you see here, it says it base base part at features. It returns feature collection instance that belongs to this part. So if you remember, if you saw the same documentation here, says here returns the same. If you see the both the strings that we see in the NXopen and also the documentation are same. We usually developers refer directly here, but the standard practice is to refer the documentation here. That's a standard practice. Go to the documentation and then refer information to it. Now, now, now we will go back again to the feed. It returns what a feature collection. But for somehow our method is returning 4 objects instead of 3. That we can see it here in our listing window. Oh, I guess I close the listing window. I'll rerun the application again. So here, if you see, instead of 3 objects, it is saying 4. Then there might be a chance we are using a different API instead of what we have to use. So we'll check, is there any other API available? I'll remove this. We were in features called features. And you see here, we also have base features, which we saw in the documentation. So again, it is the same. There might be different APIs. Not everyone knows all the APIs. So better you go to each of the API available here or the methods available here and then do what we require. I usually go through each and every API and then try to see is there any API that fits into my case. In this case, I don't see anything, any other API. So let us use the other API and then see whether that gives us the right information what we require. So the other API is base features. We'll see whether base features is giving us the right input instead of features. Base features, and then this also returns an array. I mean a collection, we need to convert it into an array. We'll quickly build and then see whether this is giving us what we need. I'm building it. I'll close it and then rerun the application. To run this, I'm pressing Ctrl U in my keyboard and then running the application here. Still it is returning me this 4 information, so now I don't know whether why it is returning me the other object. Either I can do a debug now, or I can there is one option which where I can check if the features, let me get this features again. So instead of 2 array, let me check is there any other API available. Here there I remember that there's an API called get features. So this also gives me the same information, right? Let's see whether this API is what we need. I'm rebuilding it by pressing right click and then rebuild, and then the build should be successful. Once a build is successful, then think I can, the build is successful now. Let us run the DLL again. Oh, now it's returning much more information that might be wrong. Let me close it, rerun it, because it can be a chance that it wrote the information from previous listing window. Now it's also giving me more information other than this. That now we were into a state where we don't know what API values are returning, whether the value is correct or not. So now we need to do trial and error method to see is there any API is having an issue, or what we are doing is a wrong way of collecting and writing information. So in this case, we we don't know what is the reason behind it. So we'll go back again to NX and then see is there something, now we need to refer to the documentation. Is there something happening with any of this sketch or any of this features creating some other features internally? Actually what happens in the background is whenever someone creates a feature, it also creates some features internally. It is called internal feature that will not get listed in the feature tree. That we can also check in our code whether our feature, any of this feature, or what we saw in the uh, we saw 4 objects in our application, isn't it? In the listing window, we will see whether any of this feature is internal. How to check it here? We'll go back to the code where it was previously. Yeah, I'll, instead of get features, it was featured, and then we'll go to to array. It is what it was previously, and I'll quickly save it. Now I want to check whether this feature is internal. So how to do it is simple. You can check, write an if statement, and then if this each feature is internal. So this returns me a boolean saying whether the feature is internal. What is an internal feature? As I said before, some of this feature that we see in the listing window, that we saw in the listing window, one of this feature or internally created. So it is like a base feature. Over that base feature, the other feature is built, but we don't see it in the listing window or in the part navigator tree or feature tree. So I can check this whether it internal. If it is an internal, then I don't want to write it in the listing window, right? So if it is true, then if it is not true, then I have to write the information into the listing window. Otherwise, let us keep it as it is. We'll skip that object. I'll quickly rebuild it, and then we will see whether this fixes the problem. So yes, it is. So as you see here it removed one of the other feature, and which is a internal feature. In the next video, we'll see how to debug the application, and then see um, where we can place a breakpoint and how to do the debug, step-by-step debug of a DLL. There are different ways of handling doing debugging, but for the easiest, I'm showing you the easiest way how to debug it. We'll see it in the next video. Thank you.